After 8 years of marriage, I asked my wife for a divorce. She froze, her beautiful eyes instantly flooding with tears that spilled over like broken pearls. I handed her a tissue, a practiced motion, though my heart remained cold as iron. Over the last 8 years, I had wiped her tears countless times, my heart aching with every drop. But this time, I felt only a twisted sense of relief. Why? Olivia's voice trembled violently. Ethan, didn't we agree? Child-free for life, just the two of us. Did I do something wrong? Tell me, I'll change it. I'll change anything. I looked at her, the woman I had loved for a decade. From the girl in the white dress on the university campus to the powerhouse executive she was today, I knew everything about her, including her unwavering philosophy on being child-free. She always said children were shackles on a marriage, the killers of romance. I loved her, so I respected her choice, even going so far as to sever ties with my parents, who were desperate for grandchildren. You don't need to change, I said calmly, pulling 2 items from my briefcase and placing them gently on a coffee table in front of her. It's too late. Olivia's gaze fell on the items, and her pupils constricted. One was a brand new, beautifully packaged breast pump. Beside it lay a prenatal ultrasound report. On the grainy image, 2 small gestational sacs were clearly visible, twins. Olivia's face went ghastly white, drained of all blood. It was as if her strength had been siphoned away. She staggered back and collapsed onto the sofa, her lips moving, but not a single word came out. I took a step forward, looking down at her, my voice laced with ice. You always told me to look out for your best friend, Chloe. You said she was struggling on her own. When she wasn't feeling well recently, you were the one who asked me to drive her to the hospital. This ultrasound is hers. I paused, then delivered the cruelest sentence in the flattest tone I could muster. The twins in Chloe's womb. You arranged the surrogacy, didn't you? Using my sperm. I expected Olivia to break down, to deny it, to scream hysterically. But she didn't. She just stared at me, her tears flowing harder, but her eyes held a desperate madness I couldn't comprehend. Yes, she suddenly shrieked, her voice shattering the false peace our home had maintained for 8 years. I arranged it. Ethan, didn't you want kids? Didn't your parents pressure you every day? I'm giving you children. I found someone to carry them for you. Isn't this what you wanted? Why are you divorcing me? What I wanted? I let out a cold, absurd laugh. Olivia, what exactly do you think I am? A breeding tool? You preach about loving me, about being child-free. Yet behind my back, you orchestrated this massive deception. Did you ask for my consent? Did you ever respect me? My anger erupted like a volcano, 8 years of suppressed grievances exploding in an instant. You want to enjoy the freedom of a child-free life, yet use a child to shut my parents up, all to tie me to you completely. You're calculated, Olivia. Did you think I knew nothing? I yanked open a drawer and slammed a stack of photos and documents onto the table. Did you think I didn't know about your private meetings with that fertility specialist? Did you think I couldn't trace the $75,000 you wired to Chloe for nutritional expenses? You even bought a crib and hid it in the back of the storage unit, thinking I'd never find it. Every word was a knife, plunging deep into Olivia's heart. Her face was as white as a sheet, her body shaking like a leaf in a storm. And this, I picked up the breast pump, waving it mockingly. You prepared thoroughly. Once Chloe gives birth, you plan to bring the babies home, claim we adopted them, and then play the role of the gentle mother, using this to pretend you're nursing. No, it's not like that. Olivia finally broke. She lunged forward, trying to hug my legs, but I dodged her in disgust. She fell to the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. Ethan, I was wrong. Please forgive me. Don't divorce me, okay? I can have them. I'm willing to carry your child now. We can stop the arrangement with Chloe. We'll have our own. Watching her humble herself into the dust, I felt no softness. There is no grief greater than the death of hope. When the dam of trust is destroyed by lies, only ruins remain. Olivia, do you know what disgusts me the most? I squatted down to eye level with her, enunciating every word. It's your self-righteous, child-free theory. You did not want kids. You just didn't want to bear the hardship yourself. So you treated your best friend as a breeding vessel and me as a fool who provides the seed. You are too selfish. Enough. I stood up, straightening my suit jacket, returning to my usual calm and restraint. The lawyer's letter will be sent to your office tomorrow. This apartment is in my name. Move out as soon as possible. For the sake of the years we spent together, financially, I won't shortchange you. With that, I opened the door without looking back and walked out of the home I once considered my entire world. The door slammed shut with a heavy thud behind me, cutting off Olivia's gut-wrenching cries. I leaned against the cold wall of the hallway, exhaling a long breath. 8 years of marriage, like a carefully choreographed play, had finally ended, and I was just a pathetic clown who had only now realized his role. The divorce proceedings were more difficult than I imagined. Olivia refused to sign. No matter how generous the settlement terms my lawyer proposed, she had only one response: I won't divorce. She began calling and texting me frantically. The content was invariably confessions of regret and begging. After I blocked her number, she started waiting downstairs at my office building. She wore her sharp professional suits, but her makeup was ruined by tears, looking like a wandering spirit. My colleagues' eyes changed when they looked at me, filled with a mix of sympathy and judgment. In their eyes, I was the heartless man abandoning his devoted wife. Exhausted, I took a leave of absence and retreated to my parents' house in the suburbs. My parents had long been cold toward me because of my unfilial refusal to have children. When I brought up the divorce, they actually seemed relieved. Good riddance. My mother piled food on my plate, her tone triumphant. I never liked that Olivia, strutting around, acting important with her career, but can't even produce an egg. What kind of woman is that? Son, listen to your mother. Once you're clean of this, I'll introduce you to someone nice. I guarantee you'll be holding a fat baby boy within a year. My father smoked silently nearby. Finally, he crushed his cigarette and said gravely, Ethan, about the children. Think it through yourself. But regarding Olivia, don't be too ruthless. You were husband and wife, after all. I smiled bitterly. Think it through? I had thought it through long ago. My love for Olivia had been worn down by day after day of coldness and arguments, and the moment her carefully planned surrogacy scam was exposed, it turned to ash. I even began to doubt if we ever had love between us. Or was I, from the very beginning, just a suitable, controllable partner in her life plan? During that time, Chloe became my only emotional outlet. She texted me every day, asking how I was, carefully comforting me. Her messages were filled with concern for my physical and mental state. Ethan, don't be too sad. Leave. She just loved you too much and used the wrong method. Don't blame her. The doctor says the babies are very healthy. I'm eating well every day, don't worry. I did a 4D ultrasound today. They're so cute. One looks like you, one looks like Liv. I took photos, do you want to see? Looking at the blurry ultrasound image, a complex emotion surged in my heart. Those were my children, coming into this world in a way I never expected. I had anticipation and guilt toward them, but the joy of becoming a father was missing. I felt equally guilty toward Chloe. She was Olivia's best friend, dragged into our marital mess, becoming the most innocent victim. I asked Chloe to meet at a quiet coffee shop. She wore a loose maternity dress, her belly clearly showing. Her face held a trace of pregnancy puffiness, but her eyes remained clear. Ethan, she smiled nervously when she saw me. Thank you for everything. I pushed a bank card across the table. There's $150,000 in this account. I know it doesn't make up for anything, but it's a token of my gratitude. After the children are born, I'll give you another sum, enough to keep you comfortable for the rest of your life. I will take responsibility for raising the children. Chloe froze. She didn't touch the card. Instead, her eyes reddened. Ethan, I'm not doing this for money, she whispered. I did it for Liv. She said this was the only way to save your marriage. She said you actually wanted kids badly, but you held back for her sake. She said every time she saw you playing with relatives' kids, your eyes were full of envy. She said your relationship with your parents was getting worse because of this. She said she felt like a sinner, driving you crazy. Every word Chloe spoke was like a heavy hammer striking my heart. I had always thought it was Olivia who didn't want children. Turns out, she knew everything. She knew my longing, my forbearance, my pain. But she chose the most extreme, hurtful way. Why didn't she just tell me? My throat felt dry, my voice raspy. Chloe shook her head, her face full of pity. I don't know. She said she didn't dare. She was afraid if you knew the truth, you'd think she was damaged goods, that you'd leave her. So she decided to become a liar instead. I laughed self-deprecatingly. What is this? Some kind of dark comedy? That conversation deepened my resentment toward Olivia. She hadn't just deceived me. She had exploited her best friend. Before the second court hearing, my lawyer handed me a new file. Mr. Cole, this is what we found. 6 months ago, Mrs. Cole consulted several overseas medical institutions regarding the legality of egg donation and surrogacy. The lawyer's expression was serious. Also, there's an unexplained transfer of nearly $450,000 from her personal account. $450,000 plus the $75,000 to Chloe. That was over $500,000. Even for a senior architect, moving that much cash in a short time wasn't easy. A terrible thought flashed through my mind. I asked the lawyer to pause all litigation, then used a burner number to call the phone I once knew by heart. It rang for a long time before being answered. Olivia's voice came through, thick with nasal congestion and exhaustion. "Hello. It's me." There was a long silence on the other end. Finally, she spoke in a pleading tone. "Ethan, are you willing to see me?" "Tomorrow morning at 10. Meet me on the steps of the courthouse," I said. "Bring all your ID." She seemed confused. To do what?" "To sign the papers," I said coldly. "If you want to keep a shred of dignity, let's get this over with." I hung up immediately. The next day, I arrived at the courthouse on time. Olivia was already there. She was wearing a white dress, the same style she wore on our first date. She had lost a lot of weight. Her chin was sharp, making her eyes look enormous, but they lacked their former sparkle, holding only ash and silence. Seeing me, she forced a smile that was uglier than crying. "You came." I ignored her gesture and walked toward the entrance. "Wait," she suddenly called out from behind. I stopped and turned back impatiently. "Ethan," she looked at me, tears welling up again. "Is there really no chance for us? What do you think?" I countered. She took a deep breath, as if summoning all her strength, and pulled a document from her bag, handing it to me. "Read this before you decide whether to divorce me." Suspicious, I took the document. It was a medical record. Patient, Olivia Vance. The diagnosis section contained cold, unfamiliar medical terms. But below was a line of plain English that hit my temples like a sledgehammer. Diagnosis: severe Asherman syndrome, secondary infertility, premature ovarian failure. Note: patient has essentially lost the ability to conceive naturally. My brain buzzed, going blank. How is this possible? Olivia couldn't have children? I looked up at her sharply. She nodded, her face pale, and the tears suspended in her. I finally fell. "I'm sorry, Ethan." Her voice was light as the wind. "I lied to you." The thin medical file felt heavy as lead in my hands. The date on it was 7 years ago, the second year of our marriage. Why? Why didn't you tell me? My voice was shaking, not from anger, but from a sudden, massive wave of panic and regret. Olivia smiled bitterly, a desolate expression. "Tell you what? Tell you that you married a broken woman? Tell you the Cole family line end with me?" She looked up, meeting my eyes, tears mixing with 7 years of accumulated grievances pouring out. "Ethan, have you forgotten how your mother treated me? The first year we were married, she hinted every day, asking why my stomach was flat. The second year, she dragged me to temples to pray for a son, forced me to drink strange herbal concoctions. When I got this diagnosis, I had only one thought: it's over. I didn't dare tell you. I was afraid you'd be disappointed. I was even more afraid to tell your parents. I feared they would force us to divorce. So I had to lie. I told everyone I didn't want to give birth, that I wanted to be child-free. I said children were the grave of romance, the chains of freedom. I said it so much, I almost believed it myself. I stood frozen, struck by lightning. That child-free philosophy I had resented so much wasn't her selfishness. It was her armor. It was a high wall she built to protect our marriage. Inside the wall, she endured dark pain and despair alone. Outside, she took the misunderstanding and blame from me and the world. "Then why did you get Chloe to carry the baby?" My heart hurt so much I could barely breathe. "Do you know how humiliating this is for me?" Because I couldn't hold on anymore. Olivia covered her face, sobbing. "Your parents' pressure was getting worse. Every time you went home, you fought with them. I saw the exhaustion and struggle in your eyes. I was scared. I was so scared you would leave me because of this. Last year on your dad's birthday, you got drunk. You held my hand and said, 'Liv, why don't we have a baby? As beautiful as you, as smart as me.' You said you wanted a home, a complete home. In that moment, all my defenses collapsed. I wanted to give you a complete home. I wanted to make you happy. I researched like crazy. Then I thought of Chloe. Chloe is my best friend. Her family is struggling financially, and she needed money. I begged her to help. I told her that after it was done, I would give her a large sum so she and her family could live well. The memory of that $75,000 transfer flashed in my mind. It wasn't nutritional expenses. It was a transaction fee Olivia paid her best friend. And the breast pump? My voice was raspy. And the crib. The pump is to help induce lactation for women who haven't given birth. I thought, even if I didn't carry the babies, I wanted to nurse them myself. I wanted them to feel my body heat. I want to be a real mother. Olivia choked on her tears. The crib. I couldn't help it. I bought it early. Every time I secretly looked at it, I imagined our children lying there. Ethan, I'm sorry. I used the wrong way. I ruined everything. She looked up, her tear-soaked face showing a fragility I hadn't seen in 7 years. I was just too afraid of losing you. In that moment, all my anger, resentment, and disdain vanished. In their place was an overwhelming tide of regret and heartache. What had I done? I used the most vicious words to attack a woman who used lies to protect me. I tore open the scars she had hidden for 7 years and rubbed salt in them. I thought I was the victim, but I was the cruelest executioner. Leave. I stepped forward, reaching out a trembling hand to touch her, then pulled back. My hands had pushed her away so ruthlessly. Why did I have to hug her now? Olivia seemed to see through my hesitation. She took a step forward and grabbed my hand tightly. Her hand was cold and clammy, yet held an undeniable strength. Ethan, let's not divorce, okay? She looked up at me, a glimmer of hope rekindling in her eyes. Let's bring the children home together. We'll raise them together. I'll try hard to be a good mother. I'll never lie to you again. My eyes couldn't hold back the redness any longer. I nodded vigorously and pulled her tightly into my arms. This embrace was 7 years late. I'm sorry. Leave. I buried my face in her hair, my voice hoarse. I'm sorry. That day, we didn't walk into the courthouse. We walked hand in hand back to the home that had nearly fallen apart. I thought that by uncovering all the secrets and lies, Olivia and I could go back to the past. I thought as long as we worked together, we could piece back this life disrupted by accidents. But I soon discovered I was wrong. Some cracks, once made, can never be fully mended. Olivia and I withdrew the divorce filing. I moved back home, and we began to act like a normal couple expecting new life, setting up the nursery and reading parenting books. I told my parents about Olivia's medical condition. My mother was silent on the phone for a long time. Then she sighed deeply and said, "Oh, that silly child. Why didn't she say something earlier after suffering so much?" The next day, my mom came over with a pot of homemade chicken broth. It was the first time in 7 years she had given Olivia a genuine smile. She held Olivia's hand, spoke intimately for hours, her eyes reddening multiple times. Olivia cried too, weeping like a child. Watching the two of them reconcile, the heavy stone in my heart finally lifted. Everything seemed to be moving in a positive direction, except for one thing, lodged like an invisible thorn between Olivia and me. Chloe. After Olivia's secret was revealed, Chloe's existence became incredibly awkward. She was Olivia's best friend, the benefactor, helping us complete our family. But simultaneously, she was a witness to our painful memories, a living symbol of the cracks in our marriage. Olivia proposed that after the birth, we cut ties with Chloe completely, giving her enough money to start a new life in a different city. It's better for her, and for us, Olivia said, her eyes shifting away. I agreed. I didn't want to see Chloe anymore. Seeing her reminded me of my own stupidity and cruelty and the hurt I caused Olivia. However, as Chloe's due date approached, things started to feel wrong. First, it was the money. Aside from the $75,000 Olivia gave her and the $150,000 I compensated her with, Chloe started asking Olivia for money for various reasons. Special prenatal tests, high-end imported supplements, sick parents back home needing cash. The amounts weren't huge, a few thousand to $10,000 at a time, but the frequency was high. Olivia transferred it without hesitation every time. I felt uncomfortable. Liv, the money we gave her is enough. Is she being a little too greedy? Olivia defended her. She's a single woman carrying twins. It's hard on her. And her family situation is genuinely bad. Giving her a little more is the right thing to do. After all, we owe her. I couldn't argue. Because when Olivia said we, she really meant herself. In her heart, she felt permanently indebted to Chloe. Second was Chloe's attitude. She began contacting me directly more often. No longer the careful greetings of the past, but entitled demands. Ethan, I'm craving spicy noodles from that place downtown. Can you bring me some after work? Ethan, my checkup results are in. Pick them up for the doctor. My legs are swollen. I don't want to move. Ethan, I'm scared being alone at night. Can you come over and keep me company? I refused a few times, and she would cry on the phone, saying how pitiful she was, pregnant and alone with no one to rely on. Then, Olivia would call, her tone reproachful. Ethan, Chloe is in a delicate state. Her emotions are unstable. Just bear with it. She's sacrificing so much for us. What's wrong with satisfying a few small requests? I had no defense. I felt like I was trapped in a bizarre loop. Olivia, out of guilt, had no boundaries with Chloe, and I, out of guilt toward Olivia, had to tolerate Chloe. Chloe was like a black hole, constantly devouring our patience, money, and the fragile emotional bond we had just rebuilt. I started having insomnia and anxiety. My communication with Olivia dwindled. Aside from the babies, we seemed to have nothing to say. The atmosphere at home returned to the cold repression of the pre-divorce days. Until one night, I came home late from overtime and found Olivia missing. I called her. She answered after a long delay, sounding panicked, saying she was at the office handling an urgent project and would be back soon. Intuition told me she was lying. I opened my laptop and logged into our car's GPS system, the red that was parked stationary in the underground garage of Chloe's apartment complex. My heart sank inch by inch. The next day, I didn't go to work. I went to Chloe's apartment. Olivia opened the door. Seeing me, panic flashed across her face, but she quickly steadied herself, forcing a smile. What are you doing here? I ignored her and walked straight inside. Chloe was lying on the sofa, eating fruit and watching TV. Seeing me, she paused, then flashed a sweet smile. Ethan, you're here. The coffee table was piled high with expensive supplements and snacks. Next to the sofa sat several shopping bags from luxury brands. I walked up to Olivia, pointed at the items, and asked coldly, "What is this?" Olivia's face went pale. Chloe said she was feeling down, so I took her out for a bit. I picked up a receipt from bag. The amount was 5 figures. Olivia, do you know where that $450,000 project fund in your account came from? After discovering the large, unexplained funds, I had asked a lawyer friend to investigate. The results were terrifying. It wasn't project money. It was a high-interest credit loan Olivia had taken out behind my back. To pay Chloe's surrogacy fee and satisfy her endless demands, she had burdened herself with heavy debt. Olivia's lips trembled, unable to speak. Ethan, don't blame Liv. Chloe sat up, walked slowly to Olivia, and affectionately linked arms with her. These are things I wanted. Liv said as long as I give birth safely, she'd give me anything. As she spoke, she deliberately thrust out her high, rounded belly, looking at me with a mix of gloating and provocation. In that moment, a terrible thought seized my heart like a viper. I stared at Chloe's face, then at the guilt-ridden Olivia. I finally understood. This wasn't a simple surrogacy transaction. This was a carefully orchestrated conspiracy targeting Olivia and me. And the mastermind was the person we thought was the most innocent and pitiable, Chloe. You knew all along Olivia couldn't conceive, didn't you? I looked at Chloe, my voice cold enough to freeze the air. The smile on Chloe's face stiffened, but she quickly recovered. She blinked innocently. Ethan, what are you talking about? How would I know? Liv begged me. That's why I agreed to help. Really? I sneered. I pulled a small USB drive from my pocket and plugged it into the living room TV. The screen lit up, playing a video. In the video, Chloe was talking to a man in a cafe. I recognized the man. He was the fertility specialist Olivia had consulted. Because that consultation fee had bothered me, I hired a private investigator to look into him. The result was shocking. The doctor was Chloe's distant cousin. In the video, Chloe's voice came through clearly. Cousin, thanks for this. That fake medical report was flawless. Olivia, that idiot, cried her eyes out when she saw it. She believes every word. And Ethan, he must be dying of guilt now, thinking he wronged Olivia. He'll only treat her better from now on. Once I have the kids, Olivia will give me a huge payout to leave. Then, I'll say the babies can't be without their birth mother and refuse to go. Ethan will be guilty. Olivia will be soft-hearted. They won't be able to do anything. I can move into their house legitimately. Once I'm in, how can that sickly Olivia compete with me? Ethan will be mine sooner or later. By then, the kids, the man, the money, it'll all be mine. The video ended. The living room fell into a deathly silence. Olivia looked like her bones had been removed. She slumped to the floor. She stared at Chloe in disbelief. The face she once trusted implicitly now radiated only shock and bone-chilling cold. Chloe, you. Her voice shook uncontrollably. Why? Chloe's face turned from red to white, then to a sickly green. She knew it was over. The mask was torn to shreds. She dropped the pretense, her face twisting into an expression of malice and madness. Why? She shrieked, pointing at Olivia. You have the nerve to ask me why, Olivia? Since college, everyone only ever saw you. You had a rich family, you were pretty, you had good grades. All the guys chased you. And me? I lived in your shadow, like a pathetic sidekick. I liked Ethan. I liked him since freshman year. But he only had eyes for you. I could only stay by his side as a best friend, watching you date, watching you marry. Do you know how painful that was? You had everything, yet you weren't satisfied. You could have had kids, but you selfishly chose to be child-free. You don't deserve Ethan. You You don't deserve happiness. So, when I overheard you complaining to your mom on the phone about her pressuring you for grandkids, I knew my chance had come. A twisted, triumphant smile spread across Chloe's face. I told you there's a disease called Asherman syndrome that causes infertility. I made you look it up online until you were terrified. Then I introduced you to my miracle doctor cousin and had him write a fake diagnosis, making you believe you were a barren waste. Then I pretended to be loyal and offered to carry the baby. I knew you'd agree because you're kind and because you're stupid. Olivia, you were so easy to trick. I said a few words, and you handed over your husband, your money, your future. My plan was perfect. Chloe glared venomously at me. I didn't expect it to be ruined by you. Ethan, why did you have to investigate? Why couldn't you just be a fool and stay in the dark? I looked at this deranged woman and felt nauseous. But what chilled me more was Olivia collapsed on the floor. The so-called infertility was a scam from start to finish. A trap tailored for her by her best friend. And she had jumped in without hesitation, dragging me with her. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Our marriage was a massive joke. We almost divorced over a fake child issue. We reconciled over a fake medical diagnosis. In the end, we were like two puppets played by a malicious woman. Olivia finally snapped out of the shock. She struggled up from the floor, rushed at Chloe, and slapped her hard across the face. Chloe, you are not human. She screamed, pummeling Chloe with all her might. Chloe stumbled back, screaming and shielding her belly. Olivia, are you crazy? You dare hit me. I'm carrying Ethan's children. Those are not my children. I roared. Everyone froze. Chloe and Olivia looked at me with terror. I pulled another document from my briefcase and slammed it into Chloe's face. It was a paternity test. When Chloe had her amniocentesis, I had used a contact at the hospital to secretly obtain a sample and compare it with my DNA. The result line stated clearly. Probability of paternity, 0%. Excluded. Chloe, I said to her pale face, enunciating clearly, who is the father of the bastards in your belly? Chloe was struck dumb. She stared at the report, lips trembling, unable to form a word. The last trace of color vanished from her face. Olivia leaned in to look at the report. Then, realizing something, she whipped around to stare at Chloe's stomach, her eyes burning with a desperate madness. You, the babies, aren't IVF, are they? The question exploded like a bomb in the small living room. Chloe shook violently, her eyes darting away. I'd already pieced together the filthy truth. The surrogacy was a lie from the start. Chloe never did IVF. She took Olivia's money and slept with her lover. When she got pregnant, she claimed the procedure was a success. She bet we wouldn't check, because Olivia was blinded by guilt, and I was blinded by guilt toward Olivia. We were two hostages to guilt, endlessly satisfying her demands until she took over our lives. Who is it? Olivia's voice rasped like sandpaper. Who is the father? Chloe slumped on the floor, gray-faced, silent. It's the doctor, isn't it? I said coldly. Your good cousin. Chloe flinched as if I'd hit a nerve. I had ordered the DNA test because the PI gave me a photo. Chloe and the doctor outside a motel, intimate, kissing. I looked at Chloe, realizing her malice and greed exceeded my imagination. Not only did she want to scam our money and steal my family, but she also wanted my wife and me to raise her and her lover's children for life. What humiliation. Animal. Olivia let out a piercing scream. She lunged again, this time targeting Chloe's stomach. I'll kill you. I'll kill you, you bitch. I'll kill those bastards. Olivia had snapped. Ah, Chloe screamed in terror, desperately protecting her belly. I rushed forward, grabbing Olivia from behind in a tight bear hug. Leave. Calm down. It's not worth it for scum like her. Let go of me. Ethan, let go. Olivia struggled wildly in my arms, her nails digging deep into my arm. I want to kill her. The scene was chaos. Suddenly, the door was kicked open. Several uniformed police officers rushed in. The lead officer shouted, "Police, don't move." We all froze. Behind the police stood my lawyer. He nodded at me, then pointed at Chloe and the doctor cousin, who had appeared at the doorway looking panicked. Officers, that's them. We suspect them of fraud. The amount is substantial. Before coming to Chloe's, I had called the police. I had made 2 copies of the USB drive. One for the confrontation, one for the authorities. Chloe and her doctor cousin were quickly taken away. Before leaving, Chloe looked at Olivia and me with pure venom, a look that said she would haunt us from hell. The living room finally returned to silence. Only Olivia and I remained, standing like statues with hollowed-out souls. The conspiracy, the lies, everything had settled, but the massive rift between us, caused by suspicion, deception, and betrayal, could no longer be healed. Sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating the dust motes in the air. Just like our marriage, after surviving this catastrophe, every ugly detail was exposed. Ethan, Olivia spoke first. Her voice was light, airy, as if waking from a nightmare. We should still get a divorce. I looked at her, silent. She smiled miserably, tears falling again. You see, after going in such a big circle, we're back to where we started. Yes, back to the start. But some things had changed forever. You aren't infertile, are you? I asked. Olivia nodded, then shook her head. Physically, no. But my heart is sick. She looked at me, eyes full of exhaustion and sorrow. Ethan, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have fabricated the child-free lie to deceive you just because of my cowardice and fear. If I had been honest from the beginning that I was afraid of childbirth, afraid of losing myself, maybe we wouldn't have reached this point. And I shouldn't have given up on myself and fallen into Chloe's trap the moment I thought I might be infertile. I was so stupid. I pinned all hope on someone else, forgetting to ask you what you really wanted. I looked at her, my heart feeling like it was being sliced open. Liv, I was wrong too. I shouldn't have transferred my parents' pressure onto you. I shouldn't have only seen my own grievances when you needed me most, attacking you with the most hurtful words. I shouldn't have failed to give you even basic trust. We dissected our mistakes honestly, like two children who had done wrong. But apologies couldn't buy forgiveness, and repentance couldn't undo the damage. We were both tired. This 8-year marriage felt like a cruel endurance test that had exhausted all our passion and strength. Chloe and her cousin were prosecuted for fraud. Because the amount was huge and the circumstances malicious, they faced severe legal punishment. As for the children in Chloe's womb, since we had no biological connection to them, they naturally had nothing to do with us. My divorce from Olivia went incredibly smoothly. No arguments, no tug of war. We divided the assets calmly and signed the papers calmly. The day we walked out of the courthouse, the weather was beautiful. The sun was brilliant, the sky azure. Olivia smiled at me. It was the first and last genuine smile she gave me after the divorce. Ethan, I wish you happiness, she said. Find a good girl who can give you children. Forget me. You too, I said. Focus on your career. The houses you design are the most beautiful in the world. We waved goodbye like old friends. I watched her figure in the white dress walk further away into the crowd until she disappeared. Just like she had walked into my life wearing that same dress all those years ago. I didn't remarry, nor did I go looking for a good girl to have children. Having been through all of this, I finally understood that children are not a necessity of marriage, nor the yardstick of happiness. Love and trust are. Unfortunately, I understood it too late. 1 year later, on a business trip to another city, I saw Olivia again at a top-tier architectural design forum. She was a guest speaker. She had cut her hair into a sharp bob and wore a tailored black suit, confident, composed, radiant. She spoke about her design philosophy, the relationship between architecture and humanity, her eyes shining with a light I had never seen before, the light of a dream realized. In that moment, I suddenly realized something. Perhaps being child-free was never a lie. That was her deepest, truest choice. She had only wavered because of family, love, and societal expectations. And I, as her closest partner, had never truly understood or supported her. After the speech, a reporter asked, Ms. Vance, you are so successful, yet you seem to be single. How do you view marriage and family? Olivia held the microphone and smiled faintly. Marriage and family are just options in life, not requirements. I define my own life. Thunderous applause erupted from the audience. I stood in the crowd, clapping hard, my eyes growing misty. Our 7-year itch, or 8 in our case, wasn't because of children, betrayal, or that absurd scam. It was because, from the very beginning, we never truly saw each other. Later, I heard Olivia started her own studio, swept all domestic and international awards, and became an industry legend. She never remarried and had no children. She poured all her love and passion into her architecture. I was happy for her. Yet, in the dead of night, I felt a deep regret for our lost 8 years. I still had that 4D ultrasound photo of the twins on my phone. After Chloe was exposed, I intended to delete it, but for some reason, I kept it. I don't know what I was thinking. Maybe I wanted to remind myself how close, yet how far, I had been to a complete family. Maybe I wanted to warn myself never to make the same mistake. Or maybe, simply to feel a shred of pity for those 2 little lives that had nothing to do with me, yet had caused such a massive wave in my existence. The 7-year itch. Those words are like a scar that will never heal, branded onto my life. The itch came from longing. The pain came from loss. And in the end, only endless regret remains, gnawing at me through the long rest of my life. Story complete.